Good morning, welcome to Crooked Holler. So today we're going to talk about potatoes. I am in my gardening attire. A kind of semi-cooler front passed through, so it's a little cold, and you're going to see on my channel that I'm not going to be one of those people who go get scussied up to do these kind of things. My hair's not going to be done. These days not going to happen because I don't have time for that. I'd rather just go out the way I go out, and if I have something to say, I'm going to pop on here and I'm going to say what I got to say, no matter what I'm wearing. So these are my jammies. I'm in my jammies. I'm gardening in my jammies. We're going to talk potatoes today. So this year I decided to do my potatoes in large cattle feed buckets. I've done them different ways over the years. I've done them in these gardens back here before, but given the price of potatoes that I can get on sale right now, I felt like I don't really want to dedicate an entire bed this year to growing potatoes. I would rather stick some in buckets and grow a few. I'm not growing all that my family needs to eat because frankly, you know, that's just one of those things that I can get cheaper somewhere, and cheaper than what you can grow sometimes if you pay attention to the sales. However, I like to grow all the things. I want to grow all the things, so I still want to grow some of my own. So I've been growing them in these cattle feed buckets. I put a few down, and they are growing at an exponential rate, really. I've already covered them up, I think, 3 times with dirt. So today I'm going to kind of take you along and show you how I cover them, what I do with them. They're at the point that they need their 4th thing of dirt covered up. So basically what we do is once they've chitted, which means once they have the eyes on them, I put them in the ground and I put a thin layer of dirt, and then once they started sprouting up, I have just kept applying the dirt, because they will grow the potatoes all along the stem if you keep them covered up with dirt. If you just do one layer and they grow up high over the dirt, you're only going to get potatoes under that layer of dirt. But if you keep that dirt stacked up, then you'll get different layers of potatoes, and that's what we want to go for. I want to get as many potatoes in the smaller little place that I can. So that's why I'm growing in these buckets. So let me show you how I covered these up with dirt. Alright, so here's one of my buckets. This is one of the buckets that I haven't covered up yet. I did cover up my other one. Hopefully you can see the sun is really bright today, which is good. I want the sun. But you can see down where our dirt level is, and all up this stem. Let's see if I can move that. All up this stem. If I can get that covered up, let me zoom in a little bit. There we go. I'll have potatoes up the stem if I can just get it covered up with dirt. So we want to cover up the potato to just below the leaf line. And obviously they're not all growing at the same height. You can see this one back there is a little taller. This one right here is a little shorter. So I'm only going to go up. I don't want to completely cover up the shortest one, so I'll go up to the height of the shortest one, and as they grow I'll keep adding and keep adding. Now here's a bucket that I already started to cover up. I already pretty much covered it up, but I'm just going to take my trusty old shovel and I'm just going to dump some dirt and kind of scoop it around the base of the potato. And it's alright to get dirt on top of the potato. It's not going to hurt it. This is going to fall off whenever you water or whenever it rains. It's not that big of a deal. I don't want to crush, I don't want to break the potato. Although that probably wouldn't be that big of a deal either, to break off a little limb here or there. But I don't want to break off the main growing part, the center growing part that's going to keep going. So that's it. So that's it. That's the potatoes. It's pretty easy. It's pretty simple. And whenever I go to harvest, I'll bring y'all on and show y'all how well these did. I don't know that I've ever actually done the buckets like this. So this is I've done sweet potato slips in these buckets, and then I've taken the sweet potato slips off and put them in the garden because they like to run. And you're going to get more sweet potatoes if you let it run. But I haven't ever done the potatoes in these buckets like this before. I know a lot of people have done in grow bags and that kind of stuff. And I know I've done in certain buckets, but I don't know that I've ever done them in these really large buckets before. Or at least if I did, I still did some in the bed as well, and I just threw the extras in these buckets because I tend to do that with these buckets. I throw my extra stuff in there. Case in point, here's 2 extra Sparky tomatoes that I had. I just threw in these buckets along with a little bit of garlic. So I'm going to show you the successes, but I'm also going to show you the failures and things that didn't go as well, and we're going to discuss why they didn't go as well. You can see this bucket. This is one of the buckets of potatoes, and I really only have one plant that's doing good, that one right there. The rest of them are kind of small and not doing too well. Let's discuss why. All right, so that was the bucket that I obviously, when I was planting, I picked out the best potatoes with the best eyes, and I put those in the first 3 buckets. This one kind of got all the leftovers, the ones that didn't have the most established eyes, that didn't have a well-grown eye already on it. So I threw them in here, and you can see it didn't grow as well. So when we jump the gun and we think, well, it'll grow in the dirt. No, it's not going to. If they don't have a well-established eye, you're not going to get the best result. And you can see in that bed that I have that I'm not getting the best result, and they're not going to come on. What you see is what I get, and there's actually the same amount of potatoes in that bed as the other one, but they didn't all grow. They didn't all get the eye. So that is the importance of making sure that our potatoes chip before we put them in the ground, because while you may have a little success, you're not going to have the same kind of success if you just waited that extra week or 2. I didn't, because I really didn't care that much to wait. I was already past the February 14th date that our area generally plants around, and I already had a big bunch of potatoes in the other 3, so I thought, well, I'm just going to throw them in the ground, and whatever I get, and whatever I don't, I don't. But if you're relying on these potatoes, if you're relying on your garden to provide you with the year worth of potatoes, then you really need to do your due diligence and make sure you've got the eyes established before you actually put them in the ground. So I'll bring y'all along whenever it's harvest season, and we'll see how much we actually get out of these buckets. I have 4 buckets of red potatoes. Not too many. Like I said, I tend to be able to get better deals, and I can buy them cheaper than I can actually grow them, but I want to grow some. So I'll bring you along when it's harvest time. We'll see how many pounds of potatoes we get out of these 4 cattle feed buckets. If you have any questions, just put it down in the comments below, and I'll try to address any questions that you have with potatoes. But happy